My name is Ariana Layton. I'm 32 years old, and on the night everything changed, I was standing in the hallway outside my mother's dining room, clutching a tray of wine glasses like it was the only thing holding me upright. I had just heard my family, the people I'd trusted more than anyone, planning to embarrass me on New Year's Eve. Not just tease me, not a little family joke, but a full-blown, coordinated humiliation in front of our entire extended family and half the neighborhood. And they were laughing about it. My sister, my cousins, even my own mother. They sounded excited, almost gleeful. That was the moment my stomach dropped so hard I felt dizzy. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, except the car was me, and the people behind the wheel were the very people who had raised me. Before I go deeper into this, if you're listening to my story right now, make sure you stay till the end because what happened next didn't just break me, it rebuilt me. And if you've ever had family turn against you for no reason other than jealousy or control, you're going to understand this way too well. So there I was, frozen, hearing my younger sister Marissa say, well, she'll be expecting something sweet. We'll let her give her little speech first. That'll make the moment even better. My mother laughed and said, Ariana never sees anything coming. She always thinks we're proud of her. Then came the real punch. She needs to be humbled, that's all. Humbled. As if I had done something wrong simply by existing. You have to understand something about me. I have always wanted one thing more than anything in this world, to feel like I belonged in my own family. I grew up wanting their approval, wanting them to see me, to love me, to choose me as easily as I chose them. I wasn't perfect, but I tried. I helped everyone. I supported everyone's dreams. I showed up, even when it exhausted me, especially when it exhausted me. So standing in that hallway, realizing I had become their punchline, their target, their entertainment, I felt something inside me snap in the quietest, most painful way. I slowly backed away from the doorway before they could see me, my hands trembling so badly the glasses clinked together. I set the tray down on a small table by the stairs and just stood there, trying to breathe. I could hear their voices floating out of the dining room. Jokes, laughter, clinking plates. They sounded happy, and I was suddenly painfully aware that I wasn't a part of that happiness. I was the subject of it. Now, to understand why this hurts so much, you need the flashback. I have always been the responsible one, the eldest daughter, the steady one, the peacemaker. Growing up, my father used to say, Ariana, you're my rock, and I wore that like a badge of honor. Even after he passed when I was 20, I kept trying to be the glue, holding everyone together even when I was falling apart inside. My mother leaned on me for everything. My sister compared herself to me constantly. And my cousins treated me like the quiet, predictable one. Good for help, good for errands, good for taking the blame when tension rose. I guess roles like that become cages without you realizing it. And I was trapped in mine for years. But recently, things had started changing for me, and that's where the tension began. I'd gotten a promotion at work, I'd moved into a new apartment downtown, I'd started therapy, something no one in my family believed in, and I was finally learning boundaries, real boundaries, not the pretend ones I used to tell myself I had. I stopped answering midnight calls demanding favors. I said no to helping things that wrecked my schedule. I stopped apologizing for not being available every second of every day. And my family didn't like it. Not one bit. Marissa in particular had taken it personally. She was 29, still living at home, floating from job to job while complaining the world was against her. And Mom always rushed to comfort her, always excused her, always made me the example of, why can't you just be more like Ariana? You'd think being the example would feel flattering. It doesn't. It paints a target on your back. So when I walked back into the dining room that night, trying to act normal while they pretended nothing sinister had been said, I felt like I was entering enemy territory. I sat down, and Mom gave me this bright, plastic smile. "There you are. We were waiting on you." Marissa eyed me like she was checking whether I heard anything. She smirked, and my cousins kept exchanging little glances, the kind people share when they're holding a secret in their pockets. I tried to play along. I forced a smile, asked normal dinner questions, pushed food around my plate, but inside, I was unraveling. Every laugh sounded like a lie. Every compliment sounded like mockery. And worst of all, every time they said, "You're going to love what we planned for New Year's," I felt physically sick. Finally, Marissa leaned across the table grinning. "You're the star of the night, you know. Everyone's going to be talking about you." She said it in a sing-song voice like she couldn't hide her delight. Mom chimed in, "Yes, yes, it's going to be memorable, very memorable." And then she winked at the others. That wink burned right through me. I swallowed hard, suddenly aware that maybe this wasn't spontaneous teasing. Maybe this had been building for a while. Maybe every time they made fun of me at parties, every joke about me being too perfect or too stiff or too serious wasn't a joke at all. It was resentment, real resentment. As I sat there listening to them, something strange happened. A part of me, the part that had always wanted to please, to belong, to be accepted, started to go numb. Completely numb. And another part, a quieter but fiercer part, woke up. It was like an internal shift I didn't know I was capable of. A whisper saying, "They are not your safe place. They never were." That whisper would change everything in the days that followed. But at that moment, it was just a spark in the dark. Dinner continued. They laughed. I nodded when expected. Marissa kept dropping hints about the party. "Just don't wear anything you'll cry over," she joked at one point. Everyone laughed. My stomach nodded. Eventually, I stood up, pretending to take a call so I could leave without suspicion. I grabbed my coat from the hallway, walked out into the cold December night, and sat in my car gripping the steering wheel with both hands. My breath fogged the windshield, my heart was racing, and for the first time in my life, I didn't cry, I didn't panic, I didn't fall apart. I planned. I had no idea what they were going to do to me on New Year's Eve, but I knew one thing with absolute clarity. I wasn't going to let them destroy me. Not this time. But I didn't know the full extent of their plan until the message popped up on my phone later that night. A message I wasn't supposed to see. A message that revealed the truth. And it was so much worse than I imagined. When I got home that night, the cold air clung to my clothes like a warning I couldn't shake. I shut my apartment door behind me, leaned against it, and exhaled for what felt like the first real time since dinner. The silence of my place felt different now. Less like peace and more like a shelter after a storm. I kicked off my shoes, dropped my keys on the counter, and just stood there in the dim kitchen light, replaying the sound of their laughter. It echoed in my ears like something sharp. I wanted to pretend I had misunderstood, that maybe they were joking in a way that just happened to sound cruel. But deep down, I knew better. My family's jokes always came with pointed edges. I walked to my bedroom, took off my coat, and checked my phone, intending to scroll mindlessly until sleep swallowed the anxiety. That was when the message came in. At first, I didn't recognize the number, a group chat I wasn't supposed to be in. It must have been added by accident. The preview on my screen froze me. "Don't worry, she won't suspect anything. Ariana always plays the good girl." My heart stuttered. I opened the thread, my fingers shaking. There were 5 people in it. Marissa, my cousin Jenna, my cousin's fiance, my Aunt Lila, and my mother. They were all there, and the message was from Jenna. Marissa responded immediately below it. I can't wait to see her face when the video plays. It's going to be priceless. Video? A chill ran through me so sharp it felt physical. My chest tightened as I scrolled upwards, searching for context. The thread wasn't long, only a handful of messages, but every single one chipped away at something inside me. My mother. Make sure the projector is set up before people arrive. I want everything perfect. Jenna. The comments in the montage are hilarious. People will die laughing. Marissa. Especially the part where she's crying. That one kills me every time. I felt like I had been punched. A montage? Crying? What were they using? Old videos? Old photos? What were they planning to show about me? At a New Year's Eve party? I scrolled up, my breath trapped in my throat. Aunt Lila. Good. She deserves this. She thinks she's better than everyone. A little reality check never killed anyone. That one hurt the most. My aunt had hugged me at Thanksgiving, telling me she was proud of my job promotion. 2 weeks later, she was texting about humiliating me. My thumb hovered above the screen, trembling. It felt like each word was peeling away a layer of my identity, revealing something raw underneath. All these years, I thought I was part of a family. Instead, I was their punching bag, their entertainment, their lesson in humility. I kept reading. Then came the message that made me sit down on the edge of my bed because my knees couldn't hold me up anymore. Marissa. Just make sure the part about her ex is clear. People need to know what she did. What did I do? My blood ran cold. I hadn't done anything to my ex. If anything, he had hurt me. He was the one who cheated, lied, manipulated. So what story were they planning to tell? What lies were they preparing to feed the entire family? Jenna replied, "Oh, trust me, the way we edit it, it looks like she was the one who ruined everything." My stomach twisted so violently, I had to put the phone down. My hands were sweating, my breaths were coming unevenly. It felt like someone had turned the floor beneath me into ice, and I was slowly slipping. After a full minute of staring into nothing, I picked the phone back up and scrolled to the most recent message. It was from my mother. Remember, timing is everything. Play the video right after her speech. Let her think we're celebrating her first. The contrast will make it even funnier. I stared at that message for so long the screen dimmed twice. That was the worst part. Not just the betrayal, not the lies, not the planned humiliation, but the premeditation, the strategy, the excitement. They were looking forward to this. They were working together. They were united in hurting me. And I didn't understand why. I tossed my phone beside me and pressed the heels of my palms against my eyes, trying to steady myself. I felt like I had swallowed fire. The room seemed to tilt for a moment. My mind was racing, grasping for explanations, for excuses, for any rational reason they would go this far. Nothing came. Nothing made sense. After a while, the tears finally came. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, exhausted tears that slipped down my face despite my best effort to stay collected. I cried because it hurt. I cried because I felt stupid for ever wanting their approval. I cried because I had always believed that if I just kept being kind enough, helpful enough, understanding enough, they would love me back. But that night shattered every last illusion I had. At some point, I lay back fully on my bed, staring at the ceiling. My apartment was silent except for the faint buzz of my heater. I tried to calm myself by remembering childhood moments, the good ones. Summers in the backyard, sleepovers with Marissa when we were little, my mother braiding my hair before school. But even those memories had cracks now. I realized the love had always been conditional, the affection always laced with comparison. Even as a child, I was performing for approval I never quite received. At around 1 a.m., I sat up and wiped my face. Something inside me hardened. Not bitterness, not anger, but clarity. A clarity I had never experienced before. This wasn't about the video. This wasn't about the party. This was about a pattern. A long, painful pattern I had been too desperate to see for what it truly was. Emotional manipulation disguised as family culture. And it had gone on long enough. I pulled out my journal, my therapist had insisted I get one, and started writing everything I felt. I wrote until my hand cramped and the page looked like it had held a thunderstorm, but the writing helped. It organized the chaos swirling inside me. Somewhere around page 3, I heard myself think something I had never dared think before. Maybe I don't owe them anything, not even my silence. That idea sat with me, warm and dangerous. But the more I thought about it, the more another thought pushed its way forward. I needed to know exactly what was in that video. I needed to know how far they were willing to go. I needed the truth before I decided what to do. There was only one person who might tell me, someone who wasn't loyal to my family, someone who often knew things unintentionally. My cousin's fiancé, Tyler. He was in the group chat and he was notoriously bad at keeping secrets. At almost 2 a.m., with fear twisting inside me, I texted him. Tyler, I saw the group chat by mistake. I know about the video. I need you to tell me what's in it. I didn't expect him to answer, but he did, within 2 minutes. Ariana, you're not supposed to know, but listen, you need to see this before the party. It's worse than you think, much worse. My heart lurched. Before I could respond, another message came in. They're meeting tomorrow at Jenna's place to finalize everything. If you show up, you'll hear everything for yourself. I stared at the screen, pulse pounding. I was going to walk into the lion's den, and I had no idea what I would find when I did. The next day felt unreal from the moment I woke up. My alarm went off at 8 a.m., its cheerful melody sounding like mockery in the quiet weight of my apartment. I turned it off, sat on the edge of my bed, and tried to steady the heaviness in my chest. My body felt drained, like grief had seeped into my bones overnight. But under that weight, there was something else too. Determination. I was done being in the dark. By noon, after pacing my living room for nearly an hour, I finally grabbed my coat, keys, and phone. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't need permission or validation anymore. I needed answers. Real ones. Jenna's townhouse was across the city. Sleek, modern, always smelling faintly of cinnamon because she swore it felt welcoming. I had never seen it as welcoming. It always reminded me of how she loved appearances more than people. When I parked down the street, my hands were trembling on the steering wheel, but my mind felt strangely clear. I wasn't walking into that house as the peacekeeper they were used to. I was walking in as someone finally ready to see the truth. Tyler had told me, come at exactly 3 p.m. They'll all be there. And he wasn't exaggerating. When I approached the townhouse and peeked through the side window, I saw them in the living room. My mother, Marissa, Jenna, Aunt Leela. They were sitting around the coffee table, drinking iced tea and laughing, like they were planning a birthday party instead of my public humiliation. There were sheets of paper spread out, a laptop open, and a projector sitting on the floor next to them. My heart tightened, but I forced myself forward. I didn't knock softly. I knocked like someone who deserved answers. Jenna opened the door, her expression flipping from casual annoyance to frozen shock. Ariana, what are you doing here? Her voice had that sharp pitch it always got when she was caught off guard. I met her eyes calmly. I need to talk to all of you. Behind her, the room fell silent. Everyone turned. My mother blinked like she had seen a ghost. Marissa's face instantly soured, as if my presence ruined her perfect script. Aunt Leela folded her arms. Jenna stepped aside reluctantly. Fine, come in. I walked into the living room, my back straight, even though my legs felt unsteady. I sat in the empty armchair across from them. I didn't smile. My mother forced one, tight, brittle. Sweetheart, if you wanted to join us, you could have called. I almost laughed. Called? So they could lie to me before I arrived? I took a deep breath. I know about the video. It was like dropping a bomb. Jenna's eyes widened. My mother's smile slid off her face like wet paint. Marissa stiffened. What video? My mother asked, tone light, too light. I stared directly at her. The one you're planning to play at the New Year's party. The one meant to embarrass me. The room shifted. No one spoke. No one moved. They just stared, caught between denial and the realization that there was no way to spin this. Finally, Marissa rolled her eyes. Okay, so what? It's just a joke, Ariana. You're overreacting. A joke? Hearing her say that made something inside me crack. I leaned forward. A joke? A joke where you include a montage of my worst moments? A joke where you spread lies about my relationship? A joke where you humiliate me in front of the entire family? My mother sighed heavily, like I was being unreasonable. You've been so full of yourself lately, so distant. We thought maybe laughing together would lighten things. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Laughing together? Or laughing at me? Silence again. Thick. Tense. Jenna closed the laptop slowly, avoiding my eyes. Ariana, you always take everything so seriously. We thought you'd finally loosen up. I felt heat rising in my chest. You were going to blindside me with a video accusing me of ruining my last relationship? Why? Why twist the story into something it wasn't? Why lie? Aunt Leela scoffed. Maybe because you never told the whole truth, she said, crossing her legs. What kind of woman lets a man cheat on her twice and still stays? You embarrassed yourself. My breath caught. That was a wound she didn't have the right to touch. I stayed because I was manipulated, because I believed him, because I thought things could get better. And when I finally left, it took everything in me. Marissa snorted under her breath, clicking her tongue. That's not how he told it. He said you were too controlling, too emotional, too... Enough, I said sharply. My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded stronger. I turned to my mother. And you believed him over me? She looked away. Not an answer, but enough of one. Something cold settled across my shoulders. The realization that they had never taken my side. Not then, not now. I sat back, letting their own words sink into the space between us. This was not insecurity. This was not paranoia. This was real, intentional betrayal. And sitting in this room with all of them finally stripped away the illusion I had held on to my entire life, that they cared even half as much as I did. Then Jenna stood up abruptly, grabbing the laptop. Fine, you want to see it? Here. But before she could play it, Tyler came down the stairs, holding a flash drive. I hadn't even realized he was home. He looked uncomfortable, rubbing the back of his neck. Jenna, don't. The video is messed up. My mother narrowed her eyes at him. Tyler, stay out of this. But he shook his head. No, she deserves to know the truth. He handed me the flash drive, and in that moment, the room erupted. My mother, Tyler, what are you doing? Marissa, you had one job. Aunt Leela, unbelievable. Jenna, give that back. Tyler ignored all of them. He looked at me, his voice low. Ariana, it's not just the montage. They added fake text messages. Messages they wrote pretending to be you. My breath stopped. My mother shot up from her seat. Tyler, enough. But he kept talking. They planned to make it look like you stalked your ex, like you begged him to stay, like you threatened him. They wanted people to laugh and to judge you. I felt the air leave my lungs in a slow, painful collapse. Fake messages, fabricated harassment. They were rewriting my life to shame me. My fingers tightened around the flash drive. My family stood frozen, caught, exposed, defensive. Marissa's face twisted in a way I had never seen before. Rage mixed with panic. My mother looked pale. Jenna pressed her lips together. I stood slowly, letting the silence stretch. You were going to destroy my reputation, I whispered. Over what? Because I finally started saying no? Because I finally stopped being your emotional punching bag? Because I stopped letting you disrespect me? My mother's eyes narrowed. Watch your tone. For the first time in my life, I didn't flinch. No. The shock on her face was almost satisfying. Then Marissa snapped. You think you're so perfect, Ariana. Everything always goes right for you. Everyone always praises you. You get the promotion, the apartment, the attention. We just wanted people to see you're not as flawless as you pretend to be. Flawless. If only she knew how long I cried myself to sleep, how many nights I prayed for peace, how often I questioned my worth. I never pretended to be flawless. You just never bothered to see me. A deep electric silence spread across the room. Then my mother spoke in a cold, quiet voice. Give us the flash drive. Now. I held it tighter. No. Her expression hardened into something sharp and unfamiliar. Ariana, don't you dare walk out of this house with that. But I already was. I moved toward the door, pulse racing, vision tunneling, but my steps were steady. When I reached for the doorknob, Marissa lunged forward and grabbed my wrist so hard it hurt. You're not taking that video, she screamed. But she didn't realize something. I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I wasn't walking away powerless. And I was not afraid of them anymore. I yanked my arm free and opened the door. I'm done letting you control the narrative, I said. Then I walked out. But the second the door closed behind me, my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't recognize. Ariana, you need to see something right now. It's about your father. He wasn't who you think. I stopped. My heart dropped. What did my father have to do with this? The message about my father hit me like a blow to the chest. I froze on the sidewalk, cold wind cutting across my face, but I barely felt it. My father had died when I was 22, long before I ever understood how fractured our family truly was. He had been the one person whose love felt unwavering, steady, real. The idea that there was something about him I didn't know, something connected to all this, made my stomach turn. My hand shook as I opened the message. Meet me at Riverside Park, same bench your father used to go to. Please, It's important. There was no name, just urgency. Every instinct screamed at me to go home, lock the door, and curl into bed. But something else, something deeper, pulled me forward. My father had been the only anchor in my childhood. If there was truth about him that tied into what my family was doing, I had to know. I deserved to know. Riverside Park was 20 minutes away. By the time I got there, my breath was sharp in my throat from walking fast. The park was almost empty, winter leaves scraping across the pavement in the wind. I headed to the bench near the water, the one my father used to take me to during his better days, when he talked to me about life, dreams, and choices. Someone was already sitting there. Tyler. He stood when he saw me. Tyler? I asked, confusion plick in my voice. You sent that message? He nodded, hands buried in his jacket pockets. Yeah, I didn't know how else to get you alone without them interfering. I sat slowly, tension winding through my shoulders. This is about my father? Tyler hesitated. It's about your family, all of them, and why they treat you the way they do. A slow, cold dread crept through me. What are you talking about? He exhaled hard and sat beside me. Ariana, your father left something behind, a letter, and your mother never gave it to you. My hands curled into fists, betrayal upon betrayal, heavy and suffocating. Why? I whispered. Tyler looked out at the water, as if steadying himself. Ariana, your father left something behind, a letter, and your mother never gave it to you. My breath caught in the back of my throat. A letter? For me? Yes. He wrote it before he died. He gave it to your mother and told her to give it to you on your 25th birthday. She didn't. My hands curled into fists. Betrayal upon betrayal, heavy and suffocating. Why? I whispered. Tyler looked out at the water, as if steadying himself. Because the letter explained everything. Your father knew. He knew your mother and the rest of them had resentment for you, and he explained why. I felt my pulse pounding in my temples. Resentment for what? For existing? In a way, yes. I turned sharply toward him. He took a breath. Ariana, your father wasn't just your father, not biologically. The world tilted. My heart slammed against my ribs. What do you mean? Tyler swallowed hard. Your mother had an affair, years before she married your father. She got pregnant. Your father found out, but he loved you before you were even born. He agreed to raise you as his own. But the rest of the family, Lila, Jenna's mom, everyone, they knew. My vision blurred. The cold wind suddenly felt faint compared to the chill spreading through my body. They knew? And they never told me? They never wanted you to know. Your mother especially. She was terrified you'd find out and hate her. I shook my head slowly, my throat burning. So they turned it into what? Punishing me? Mocking me? Humiliating me? Tyler nodded reluctantly. Because you reminded them. Every time you succeeded, every time something good happened to you, it reminded them of the secret, the lie. And instead of dealing with their guilt, they made you the problem. My chest tightened so painfully, I pressed a hand against it. All the pieces suddenly fit. The strange distance, the jealousy, the manipulation, the subtle digs, the comparisons, the coldness. I thought I was being dramatic. I thought maybe I wasn't lovable, but it was never about me. It was about their guilt and shame, and the fact that my father had loved me more openly, more deeply than he had loved any of them. I shut my eyes, fighting tears. Where's the letter? Tyler reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded envelope. Your mother hid it at home. I found it by accident last year, helping fix their Wi-Fi extender. She asked me to move a drawer. It was taped under her jewelry box. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel it was my place. But after today, after what they planned for you, I can't stay quiet. My hands trembled as I took the envelope. My name was written on the front in my father's handwriting, slanted, careful, familiar. Just seeing it cracked something open inside me. I opened it. My father's words were warm and steady, like I remembered his voice to be. He wrote about loving me the moment he knew I existed, about choosing me, about wanting me to know I was never an accident, but the greatest gift of his life. He explained the resentment in the family, the secret he protected, the fear my mother carried, the shame they never dealt with. And at the end, he wrote something that made my breath shake. Don't let the world or anyone in it tell you who you are. You are mine in every way that matters, and you are destined for a life bigger than their bitterness. I folded the letter against my chest and cried. Not the quiet tears from last night. This was different. This was release. This was truth washing over years of confusion, pain, and self-doubt. Tyler placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. You didn't deserve any of this. I wiped my face. I know that now. And I truly did. For the first time in my life, the fog was gone. I stood up slowly, the letter in my hand. I'm not going to the New Year's party. Tyler nodded. Good. I'm not watching their video. I'm not defending myself. I'm not explaining myself. I'm done. You should be. I looked at the water one last time, inhaled deeply, and felt a strange calm settle over me. Not everything was healed. Not everything made sense. But for the first time, I wasn't carrying the weight alone. That night, I went home, lit a candle, made tea, and sat down at my kitchen table. I wrote a message to the family group chat, not with anger, but with clarity. I know everything. The video, the lies, the truth about my father. I won't be attending the party. I won't be participating in this family dynamic anymore. I deserve respect. I deserve peace. I deserve honesty. And I am choosing myself from now on. Do not contact me unless it's to apologize with sincerity and accountability. I hit send. Immediately messages flooded in. My mother, Ariana, please, let's talk. Marissa, you're so dramatic. Aunt Kyla, your father wouldn't want you destroying the family. But they didn't know I had his letter open on the table. And I knew exactly what he would want. He would want me free. I silenced the group, blocked the ones who crossed the line, and turned off my phone. Then I sat back, breathing in the quiet of my apartment. For once, silence didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like healing, like a beginning. I wasn't the girl desperate for their approval anymore. I was the woman who finally knew the truth. I was the woman who finally chose herself. And that was the moment I realized some betrayals are not meant to break you. They're meant to awaken you. Now I had boundaries. I had clarity. I had the truth. And I wasn't afraid of any of them anymore. Have you ever experienced a betrayal like this? One that changed everything? Share your story in the comments.